Good evening. Glad to see the number that are here. The nice weather is helping people. Cabin fever syndrome. Not. I don't have. So talk about a passage that knowing about poisons, like one of those that know and it's part sermon, but I want 10 minutes and 7 hours. But spirit. So if you want to turn to Galatians, and the hope is really 16 to 26, go backwards. We're letting it go back to the time, back to the very ending. So, fruits of the spirit really mean, and why are they so important? Personal experience that when I went to fun time life and Christian counseling, this is he brought it up and it's it's read over and over, and it made it was getting to. So if you can strive to any of these or be very 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 well, but the fruit of the spirit is love, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control. Against such, some of those are hard, but we're told to do that. To all of them, we're very kind. We're very joyful. Um, then and the next one, why on the chart 3 to give a scripture to back it up, the definition. But the love is just a feeling. It's not even. It's a commitment of being person or there for the person. That condition. Joy, and I think this 2 weeks ago. Joy is not based on circumstances. So I'm only happy if everything in life works out. We're going to be happy about 10% of the time. It's obtained by doing the will of God. It's attained through knowing that God is protecting you and that nothing else matters. Peace is in line with joy because if you're not in peace in life, every night, every day is going to be a headache. Every thing that comes up your life is going to blow up in your face. So, striving for these three is really big. It's like the foundation of growing up, I would say. Next, patience. So, not jumping off the deep end when somebody upsets you or says a harsh word to you or hurt your feelings. Sometimes they're right and hurt your feelings. Kindness, to put others at ease, a sweet temperament. Some people are born kind, aren't they? Some people aren't. You can just tell that fast that their demeanor is a warm demeanor. They won't jump at the conclusion. They won't. They will listen to you. Some water. Goodness is selfless desire to open yourself and generous to others, even though they don't deserve it. That was quite tough, isn't it? How difficult is it for you to open yourself up and tell somebody how you really feel or tell them what they need to hear, and you know you might be wasting your time. Okay? Faithfulness. That's a firm devotion to God. It's also discharging responsibilities properly. If you have 2 kids or 3 kids, you don't give your oldest kid all the work and the other 2 kids are sitting on the couch. It's called favoritism, right? It happens in life every day. Not at home, but on work. But and you'll find out if you're a hard worker, you get more stuff to do. That's how the ball rolls. Gentleness, being humble, non-threatening demeanor, useful and calming another's anger. You want to get a baptism by fire on that. I went through. I worked at Michelin several years ago. I was like, at this time, I was probably 29, 30. Didn't know much. And I went through union training. So we went to SMS to the Lake Murray Resort, or I won't say resort, lodge. And we're sitting in these rooms, and all of a sudden, all heck broke loose, to put it mildly. Guys wore backward gear, where they want to wear. Turns out they were managers of the plants, but they're trying to shock your system to see what you did. And we took different roles, right? And luckily, I was calm that day and absorbing all the stuff and knew how to talk to them. I got some kind of award, I can't remember what it was, but you see people panic, they don't know what to do. And some do it so well, it's okay, we'll pass you on the, let most try. So that'll shock your system. And it's not being weak or passive. There's a difference between being gentle and rolling over. The gentleness is not rolling over. Self-control. Restrain one's emotions, actions, desires to be in the harmony with the will of God. Self-control is God's will and not living for oneself. Let that one soak in for a while. It's not your will, but it's God's will. So how does self-control fit into that? Well, every time you want something, you just go get it. Or every time you want to go somewhere, it's almost a beautiful day, if it's Sunday, of course. But you don't have to go to church. If you have to guilt trip yourself to go to church, something's wrong. Lastly, the question was, why are these so important to understand and strive for? So it has to be a reason, right? And this passage, I was going through it last night, kind of jumped out at me that the first part answers this part. But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh, for these are opposed to each other, to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Okay? Lastly, if we live by the Spirit, let us also keep in step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. So if you don't get anything from this lesson, if you don't strive for the fruits of the Spirit, this is who you'll be. And you'll have no friends. And you won't get very far in life. Who wants to be around somebody that's conceited, provoking, envious, jealous? It's not fair. It's not fun to be around those people. It's a cancer, I call it. But the good news is God tells us what attributes we need to have, and there's ways to work on those. And it takes a lot of work. You don't walk out of the box and, oh, I'm patient. Oh, I'm kind. Oh, I'll do God's will today, not mine. No, those are learned characteristics You might have two of those down pat, but most of them are hard. I think that's all I had. Yes. If there's any here tonight that know for a fact that they lack in some of those, and I think we all do in some. I asked Stephen to sing 156 because it's a song about the purity of the believer and the purity of why, what grabbed our attention as non-believers, and it's really the story of Jesus, right? Jesus embodied all those characteristics the whole time he was on the face of earth. No man has ever done that. No man could be screamed at by Pharisees and calmly tell them you're wrong and get a point across. No man could be told that he was being nice to a prostitute and tells them he who has no sin cast the first stone. He had that kind of wisdom, obviously, that we need to strive for. If there's any here that need the prayers of the church or wants to become a Christian, let us stand and sing.